Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is a new standalone game that uses the Far Cry engine to build an exploding, finger-giving, purple and neon shrine to the action movies of the 80s and 90s. I'm a child of the 1980s. I grew up mystified at the idea of reloading guns and thinking that the roundhouse kick was the highest form of cultural expression, so come with me if you want to live. Or, more accurately, if you want me to show you some film references that are in the game.
The trickiest part really is knowing where to start, so let's begin with you. You play Rex Powercolt, voiced by Michael Biehn, the star favoured by James Cameron, who you'll remember as Kyle Reese from The Terminator.
Come with me if you want to live.
And Corporal Dwayne Hicks from Aliens.
We're all in strung out shape. But stay frosty.
As this 8-bit intro reveals, the world is in a bad way.
Nuclear war has engulfed the planet.
And that's left everything, well, looking a lot like the war-torn Los Angeles of 2029 as seen in The Terminator.
While we're on the Terminator, Blood Dragon's opening music by Synthy Nostalgia's Power Glove is a nod to atmospheric 80s scores in general, and the clanging mournful Terminator theme by Brad Fiedel in particular.
Rex is a cyborg. The 1980s gave us a lot of movies about cyborgs, but in particular Rex's glowing red eye references the Terminator again, and also, given the shape of the metal plate around Rex's eye, Universal Soldier, especially since that stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as a reanimated Vietnam veteran, and Rex died in Vietnam too. Oh, and the noise from the $6 Million Man is thrown in there for good measure.
The first thing Rex does in the game is meet his super friendly comrade Spider.
Wakey, motherfucker!
This helicopter section is one big nod to Predator, the reference to Central America,
Just like that thing in Central America.
the homoerotically charged hand clasp, and best of all, Little Richard's Long Tall Sally playing as you mow a base to atoms. For finishing this mission, you'll get this trophy, a line Bruce Willis says in Die Hard when Al, I shot a kid Powell turns up at the Nakatomi Plaza.
Welcome to the party, pal!
That's interesting because the super cliche tell my mum not to look at my internet history scene later in which Spider thinks he's dying.
Hey, Rex, if this don't work, you tell them. You tell them I died for my country.
Tell her that yourself.
Is a condensed version of an exchange between John McClane and Al.
I want you to find my wife. Don't ask me how. By then you'll know how. I want you to tell her something.
Condense it more.
I want you to tell her that.
But you can tell her that yourself.
There you go. Talking of trophies, this one for stealthing away from a dragon is named after the Arnold Schwarzenegger reality TV blockbuster. This one is Bruce Campbell's best line from Army of Darkness.
Hail to the king, baby.
And this one is a line from Peter Jackson's vomit-slurping alien invasion movie Bad Taste.
The headshot's the only true stopper.
But my favourite is this one, which isn't from a film at all, but a routine by influential comic/prophet Bill Hicks.
I was in Nashville, Tennessee last week, and after the show I went to a Waffle House, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm eating and I'm reading a book. I don't know anybody, I'm alone. I'm eating and I'm reading a book. And this waitress comes over to me. What's you reading for?
Back in the game, Rex is pictured gearing up for battle in a series of mini-screen vignettes. This is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the intro to arcade classic Operation Wolf, which in turn was inspired by the madman preparations of Sylvester Stallone in Rambo III. Then, when Rex and Spider hack into the computer in the enemy base, the alarm gives them the same warning.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
As Ed 209 gives to an unlucky OCP exec in RoboCop.
You have 20 seconds to comply. You now have 5 seconds to comply. 4, 3, 2, 1. I am now authorized to use physical force.
Somebody call an ambulance. And speaking of one-liners that disregard the value of human life, this quip from Rex,
He was dead tired.
is the same one used by Arnold Schwarzenegger on a plane in the brilliantly rubbish Commando.
Excuse me. Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
The guns hide a few secrets as well. Rex starts with the AJM-9 pistol.
Look closely and it's the automatic handgun from RoboCop, another film about a man reborn as a machine.
This guy is really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine. Murphy, it's you.
Not just Murphy, Alex J. Murphy, or AJM. Your machine gun is called the Phasertron, which sounds awesome, and also like Lasertron, which is the company that popularised the quintessentially 80s pursuit of laser tag in the United States. So it makes perfect sense that you can also upgrade the Phasertron to fire laser rounds like this. Even cooler, the sniper rifle is called the CobraCon, which is a mashup of Cobra and Decepticon, the villains from the Hasbro cartoons G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Fans use CobraCon when referring to team-ups between Cobra and the Decepticons, and Blood Dragon's announcement trailer took the form of a cartoon in the Saturday morning Hasbro style.
Island and children sold separately.
Sticking with Transformers, when Rex grabs the Killstar super weapon at the end of the story, which, by the way, looks like the glaive from Krull, which wasn't even a glaive, don't get me started, he reacts by quoting Stan Bush's power ballad from the film.
I got the touch.
You got the...
Arise, Rodimus Prime. Optimus.
And fair enough, it is a very cool weapon. Finally, there are two guns which nod to Terminator 2. The Terra 4000, which looks a lot like this minigun that Arnie is very pleased to find in a desert weapons cache.
That's definitely you.
Thank you. And then Rex's shotgun.
The Galleria 1991, which is named after the year of the film's release and the mall in the film itself.
I think he said he was going to the Galleria, right? Yeah.
Where Arnie uses the same gun to fend off naughty liquid metal Robert Patrick. Also, cool reloading. While we're on Terminator 2, we should also mention that Rex's scanning vision uses the same colour overlay and targeting grid as the T-800's brain, and that Rex's exposed metal hand looks a lot like Arnie's after he peels his arm like a banana to convince the scientist he's accidentally ended the world. Actually, on that note, Rex's healing animation reminds us of Arnie's DIY wrist surgery in the first Terminator film. Sticking with James Cameron, one of Rex's missions involves using a flamethrower to destroy a nest of dragon's eggs, just like Ellen Ripley does at the end of Aliens, but with aliens' eggs. There's even a similar wait for an elevator afterwards while we're chased by the furious mother.
That seemed kind of familiar to you?
Yes it does. Rex's love interest is the suitably ridiculously named Elizabeth Darling.
That's Dr. Darling.
He sports the mad peroxide wave do seen on Bridget Nielsen in propaganda triumph Rocky IV. If Darling is modelled on Nielsen, it's a natural choice. The striking Dane appeared with Schwarzenegger in Red Sonja, and then Stallone in Cobra and Rocky IV, marrying and divorcing Sly along the way.
Speaking of Rocky IV, it's clearly a big influence on Rex's obligatory montage sequence. His training is particularly reminiscent of Ivan Drago's super high-tech regime, although this classic bit of silhouette at sunset is a dead ringer for the touching clifftop stretching in Karate Kid 3.
Rocky IV returns again at the hyperbolic climax of Blood Dragon.
As Rex approaches this battle-armoured dragon assault strike system, who, from the side, looks a hell of a lot like He-Man's battle cap, the music you can hear is Vince DiCola's subtly titled War from the film's final fight, a reference backed up by what the dragon says when you climb on board.
I must break you.
Although actually, the funny translated animal thoughts thing is more or less taken directly from Pixar's Up.
I was hiding under your porch because I love you.
Only with more swearing and philosophy.
This is fun and sad. And I shoot lasers out of my fucking eyes.
Finally, at the end of the game, when Rex faces his insane nemesis Sloane, he finds himself unable to attack thanks to hidden programming, which both recreates Robocop's classified Directive No. 4 and gives the game an excuse to throw in the most obvious reference of all.
I am your father! No!
And that is pretty much all we have. For no particular reason, we'll leave you with this cyber skeleton we found. Looks like he took an arrow to the knee. And a reminder:
the winners don't use drugs.
And of course, if there are any references we've missed, then please put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, or indeed the 1980s themselves, then you might want to check out some of the films that we've listed. They are all available on VHS right now, or if you prefer, most of them are also available on Blu-ray.
And now I must go.
Somewhere there is a crime happening.
Somewhere there is a crime happening.